Hello, I'm Tim Barnwell, and welcome to the Face of Appalachia. As you can see, I'm not in the mountains today. I'm actually in a little community called Frogmore off the coast of South Carolina near Beaufort. My friends own a shrimp boat dock here, and their family has been shrimping and fishing these waters since the 1940s. Tomorrow morning, bright and early, I'm going to board one of these trawlers and spend the day with its captain and two crew members, who are also known as strikers. So this week, we're going to trade our bass boat for a shrimp boat, explore the fascinating world of shrimping. And I think you'll be amazed at how much these fishermen and our mountain farmers have in common. So, I hope you'll come along for the ride.
On my very first visit to go camping at Hunting Island State Park along the South Carolina coast, something immediately caught my eye. Shrimp boats resting quietly just off the highway. For someone like me who spent a lifetime in the mountains, these boats felt like something out of a storybook. The docks here have even played a role in Hollywood history. This is where Forrest Gump's boat Jenny famously crashed into the pier, and where scenes from The Prince of Tides were filmed. As a photographer, I've always been drawn to the rugged beauty of trawlers like these, and long dreamed of one day climbing aboard. That dream finally came true when I stopped in to meet the folks at the Gay Fish Company, a family that's been shrimping these waters since 1948. We'll learn more about their story shortly, but first, come aboard the working boat Miss Faye and let's go shrimping. We pulled away from the dock before sunrise, slipping out into the still waters off Frogmore, South Carolina. This stretch of coastline, from the Carolinas down through Georgia, has been worked for centuries, first by the indigenous people, then by African men and women who passed down their deep knowledge of the sea. Their descendants, the Gullah Geechee people, built lives from what the land and water gave, casting nets, mending boats, living close to the tide. These waters have fed families for generations, not just with shrimp, but with meaning and dignity. By the mid-1900s, shrimping had grown into a thriving trade. The docks were full, the boats were busy, and the water provided. The 1970s and 80s were the high point, what many still call the payday of shrimping. You could make a good living out there if you were willing to work hard and rise with the tide. But the industry has changed. Today the catches are smaller, the costs are higher, and most of the shrimp consumed in America come from overseas shrimp farms which flood the market with cheap products. This makes it hard for local boats to compete, and many have given it up entirely. But a few keep going, not for the money, but for the connection, the heritage, and the satisfaction of an honest day's work done on your feet, in the salt air, pulling something real out of the sea. It's not easy work, it never was, but it's part of this place, woven into the tides, into the people, into the story of the South. Shrimping starts early, usually long before the sun comes up. The captain and his crew, known as strikers, head out with the tide, easing through winding creeks and rivers toward familiar waters chosen from years of experience. Once they reach the fishing grounds, the crew uses heavy steel cables and winches to lower the tall outrigger arms, one on each side of the boat. The attached trawl nets, fitted with large wooden doors, are dropped into the water and pulled along the ocean or river bottom where shrimp feed. Sometimes a tickler chain is added to stir up the shrimp. Turtle excluder devices are built into the nets, allowing any sea turtles that get caught to safely escape. Each drag can last a couple of hours. Along the way, a smaller tri-net might be pulled in to check the catch and decide whether to stay on course or find a better spot. As the main nets fill, the weight slows the boat. That's when the captain hauls them in and the strikers dump the catch onto the sorting tables at the back of the boat. The crew sorts out the shrimp, tossing the bycatch overboard. The shrimp are rinsed, sized, and packed in ice-filled baskets. If conditions are right, the whole process is repeated for a second drag. At day's end, the nets are cleaned and stowed, the outriggers raised, and the boat heads back to the dock. There, the catch is unloaded and sold. The deck is cleaned, the boat refueled, and everything is ready to do it all again the next day.
Got the feeling in your bones, make you feel right at home. Honey, does it well, keep me dancing till I'm dead. 'Cause I could run a mile like this, head over heels, feels like bliss. The sun has got me on my track, I ain't ever looking back. I ain't looking back. I ain't looking back. I ain't looking back. I ain't looking back. Inside the depths of stone, voice will echo me no phone. Ruled by the laws above, nature shows me, makes me taught. I could climb this mountain now, rise above the clouds and see. Well, oh, the falls have kept me strong, never did I mean no wrong. 'Cause I ain't looking back. I ain't looking back. Ain't looking back. Ain't looking back. Ain't looking, yeah. Ain't looking back. Ain't looking.
The Gay Fish Company was started by John Gay in the late 1940s in the same area where the dock sits today. His children Hilda, Charles, and Robert later became co-owners of the business, and their brother William ran his own seafood company at nearby Port Royal. When Hilda passed away, Charles' son Tim bought her share. Today, Charles operates a dock and seafood company with the help of his daughter Cindy Carr. Robert continues to shrimp and has taken me out with him many times over the years. Now, a fourth generation is involved in this long-running family business that brings fresh seafood to local customers visiting from across the country. The dock sells only Atlantic wild-caught shrimp, which is a point of pride for coastal fishermen here. Recently, the South Carolina Shrimpers Association filed a lawsuit alleging that numerous restaurants in nearby Charleston are violating state and federal laws by advertising imported shrimp as locally caught, which, if true, hurts local fishermen and those who sell their catch. Over the years, I have remained good friends with the Gay family and stop in to visit each spring and fall when I am in the area. On a recent trip, I sat down with Charles and Cindy to talk about the family business. I also did an interview with Robert a few years ago where he talks about the heyday of shrimping and the competition from foreign imports.
One of the unique things I think about this business that I find is not only does it a dock, but you buy the shrimp and you provide ice. And kind of tell me what all the services are, what kind of the scope of the business, I guess.
Sure. Well, I think it's the same business model that has been since my grandfather started it. He originally started doing with oysters, and then at some point switched over to the shrimping industry. And many years ago, there were how many boats here, Dad, back in the heyday?
We had 21 here, 21 boats. They was tied up 3 and 4 deep.
And they were big boats too, weren't they?
Yeah.
So about 21 boats working out of here in years past, catching thousands of pounds of shrimp that would be hauled out nightly on semi-trucks.
Yeah.
Semi-trucks, and then I know Dad's told stories about driving the shrimp to Savannah himself, to various places, and packing houses and peeler sheds to go out for wholesale. And then we've always had a retail market. As long as I can remember, we've had a retail market open to the public. So we're not just a processing facility, which is kind of a misconception that a lot of people have about us. And even people that come in today that have been going to Hunting Island or Harbor Island for years say, oh, I didn't know we could stop in there. That's one of the reasons why we painted it a little bit of pink on the outside last year, or a little bit of green and a little bit of pink last year to make it a little bit more appealing and a little bit less processing looking.
Yeah.
So yes, we do have a retail market. It's kind of changed locations over the years as far as within the interior of the building. When I was a child, it was in the back of the dock, so we call it, and there was a counter, and my grandmother, which was his mom, Hilda Gay, she would sit there and help the customers that came in.
So tell me a little bit about the process when the boats pull into the dock, what happens after that?
Tell him.
If they've got their, what we call the deck clean, then we'll pull him up in front of the building and unload his shrimp. Give him fuel and ice and all that. He'll move and the next boat will come up, unload his catch and get ice and fuel. Then they'll move to wherever they're going to tie up.
So when we unload the boats, they come in the back of the dock and they have heads on at this point. The boats have done a pre-sort as best they can. Everything is hand sorted. There's no machinery that does it for us. And they sort them into different sizes. This time of year, they're catching basically one size. And that size is in a count. It's kind of like a 4-point spread, if you will. So today, I would imagine he weighed in 16 20s. So that means you're going to get about 16 to 20 shrimp per pound. And that's with the head on. Once you head the shrimp, obviously you're going to get more shrimp per pound because the size is reduced. So they come in with the heads on. We weigh him with everything that he has. It then goes to the heading tables, and we've got headers that come, and we pay them to head the shrimp for us. They're then rinsed again, repacked in ice, and they go in our walk-in cooler, and we either put them out to the retail to sell directly to the consumer, or we do have a freezer that we can freeze to thaw and sell at a later date, or when season ends, or winter time, or that type of thing.
You have children. Are they involved in the business? Or
They are. So my brother, after finishing high school here, he did a year at USCB, went off to USC Columbia, joined the Army, and so he kind of was out of the picture for a little while, doing Army things and being stationed in Germany and doing all of that. I stayed here, married my high school sweetheart. We do have 2 children, both of which have worked their way through here. My youngest child is currently 19, and she's in the retail market working. Actually, she's not working today, but typically she's in the retail market working. My oldest son worked every summer through here right along Dad. I will say that we started them out selling peanuts originally before they would come in and work. You know, learning the value of $1, and because this is hard work in here. Nothing comes easy in this business, that's for sure. And a way to kind of ease them into that was selling boiled peanuts, which was always a summer favorite. So both of our kids at the age of about 9 or 10, we'd boil peanuts for them, put them out front. They would sell them, and at the end of the day, we'd go with a tally sheet and we'd say, okay, you owe me this much for the salt, this much for the peanut. And at first they were very shocked and surprised by that. but it was a quick way for them to really learn about business and how it works. And I think it's really kind of paying off in the later years with them. They both bought cars with the money that they earned from selling peanuts, literally peanut money. But we are very proud to be 100% veteran owned and recognize that on a daily basis. Dad raises the flag every morning at about 10 and does a proper salute and prayer to it. And it's something we'll continue doing. We've been here for 75 years, and I personally hope to see the 100th year here. So we'll continue that tradition on.
When we used to have as many as 20 boats there, we used to ship most of our shrimp to the Gulf. There's 3 big buyers in the Gulf. One of them can handle 1 million pounds a day. He's capable of handling it. They said he's about the biggest producer in the world. And but there was 3 of them over there, and they competed back in the 70s and 80s and even the 90s before the foreign market really took it over. We got real good money for the shrimp. In fact, we got almost twice as much we're getting today, 25 years ago. Believe it or not. That's why a lot of people got into the shrimp business. They made some good money. But now everything else is going up and the shrimp price is going down. Our retail price is about the same, what it was 25 years ago.
So what is it? Just increased competition, or?
Well, the foreign, shrimp grow so fast. They only live a year. And you could take a microscopic shrimp and in 4 months it'll be marketable. In 4 months you can grow that shrimp from not being able to see it, to something you can sell, a medium-sized shrimp. So what that is, those countries along the equator where it never gets cold, they can get 3 crops a year out of 1 pond. They can feed the shrimp and grow them, ship those shrimp out, and do it again.
Oh, so that's like a trout pond. There's
Right.
Shrimp. Oh.
And the shrimp, it's not like a fish. See, a fish, I think most fish 2 to 3 years. You got to sit there and babysit them and feed them and everything else to get up to a marketable price, a marketable size. But shrimp, you leave those shrimp in there 5 or 6 months and you get a large to a jumbo shrimp. What they're finding out with that though, on the real big shrimp sometimes, is if they stay in that pond too long, disease will get to them and kill them. But so most of what they sell is medium to large shrimp, and they just overwhelm the market with them. Only I know last year it was only 91% of the shrimp eaten in the United States was foreign, shipped in. Only 9% caught in the United States. Yeah.
Like a lot of mountain people, my family has always loved heading to the coast for a change of scenery. And folks down here in the Lowcountry feel the same way about coming to our mountains. There's a quiet bond between these two places, built on shared values, hard work, and the draw of something different. We're fortunate living in southern Appalachia to be close enough to the coast that we can be here in less than a day, so it's a popular place to vacation. On my many visits here, I've spent a lot of time talking to the coastal fishermen and shrimpers. I've been struck by how much their lives echo those of the Appalachian farmers I photographed and interviewed for most of my life. Whether harvesting from sea or soil, these people are bound to the same core values: fierce independence, self-reliance, hard work, and deep-rooted optimism, even when the odds are stacked against them. Shrimpers, like farmers, work under the weight of forces far beyond their control: global markets, the cost of labor, rising fuel prices, and competition from cheaper foreign products. For both, making a living means doing more with less, patching old boats and aging tractors, making repairs themselves, and stretching every dollar to keep going. Neither profession demands a formal education, but both require a high level of skill, deep mechanical know-how, business sense, and the grit to work long hours in unforgiving conditions. Whether on the water or in the field, it's often back-breaking labor done in all weather for slim margins, but with immense pride. But in both cases, there's a looming uncertainty about the future. The Gay family has been involved in the shrimping business for 4 generations, and while the older siblings are in their 60s and 70s, they are blessed to have children willing and able to continue the family business. Other fishing and farming families are not so fortunate. I've heard many stories from mountain farmers about sons and daughters who have moved to town and taken other work. While they may keep a garden, they have left behind the full-time life their parents led. It's not out of a lack of respect, but a change of reality, and yet something important is slipping away. Whether it's a field in the mountains or a saltwater marsh along the coast, these people are the ones who feed us. They rise early, work late, and carry on traditions that may soon disappear unless we choose to remember and to care. The images seen here are from my book, Tide Runners, Shrimping and Fishing on the Carolina and Georgia Coast. The photographs and interviews in the book provide a glimpse into the world of those who make their living fishing and shrimping southern waters. By documenting their life in book form and in videos like this, I hope to share the experience of getting to know these hardworking and industrious people. My goal is to preserve a record of their lives for future generations, with stories of hard work and resilience, and portray a way of life that's worth remembering. On this channel, I hope to continue to honor the people, vibrant culture, and strong traditions of Appalachia. If you share my interest in the people and places I call home, be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons to learn more about this way of life. The black and white photographs in our videos are taken from my 3 Appalachian-themed books, which are available online. You can find us at thefaceofappalachia.com and barnwellphoto.com, and on Instagram at Tim Barnwell Photography. Thanks for stopping by. Hope to see you again soon.